Landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and there are 9 sandwiches in my underwear, and 5 of them are named Ricky. That's an older joke. That's for you new guys. But we did a live stream and went in on the Spyderco Tenacious. So let's take a look at what we're holding, because it'll bother you if I don't, and you'll lose sleep over it. So first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. It is a 4-position pocket clip, so it could be tip down, and I hate tip down, but we all live in sin. We have got tan G10, we have got the Spidey hole here, so let's flick the hole, and we got a hair over 3 inches of 8CR13 steel. So when I carried it for a week, it did good. It did good for that week. There weren't any issues carrying it. There wasn't any discomfort. Like, it carried well. It cut well. Like, it did a good job as a knife. It's a Spyderco. That's what they're known for. Now, there are 2 total gripes here. And the first gripe is the action on this thing. The pivot, that's really tight, and it makes it really hard for that to drop shut. It makes it, it's not fun to close. It's not a lot of fun. The other issue that I have is the 8CR13 here. So this was a gift from Rich over at Ace on Knives, so let's thank him for making this video possible. But 8CR13, and it was $60 when I got this thing. I'm not sure what the retail is now, but it was $60. That is way too much for 8CR13. This should have been $35 at most. Like, $35 is fair, the build quality is there, the rest of the materials are there. It does feel good, it carries well, it cuts well. The action on the pivot is stiff, and it's on washers, I believe nylon washers, but it's just too much. And at least it's not the Tenacious with the titanium on it for 130 American dollars. That is ridiculous. I am not sure what the guys at Spyderco are smoking, but the Tic Tacs is real. Just like Benchmade, they overprice things, and there are a lot of Spyderco fans that will pay whatever for anything. And carrying this one, I get it, all right? I like the Spyderco that I have. This is the only one I've got right now. If I'm spending my own money, I'm going to save up for something nicer with a better steel that really grabs me by the short and curlies. So, you get these 2 gripes out of the way. It's a really solid knife. Overpriced, but solid. So, we started in on our cardboard slayer session, and the first number we pulled off the electronic tester was 214. So that was a pretty good edge, especially after carrying it for a week and using it the way I do. It wasn't a ton of use, but it was enough to find out how well it cuts and how well it does its job as a knife. So 214, that was a pretty understandable and respectable number. And we cut for our first hour. And because this is a tall, full, flat grind on here, it was very slicey. It cut how I like things to cut. I have no complaints there. We got some of the more difficult to cut cardboard out, and we diced that up. And that stuff, it is difficult to push through. A lot of knives, they struggle to get pushed through that stuff because it is a very, very stiff-walled cardboard. It's designed to stand up to a ton of abuse and protect the contents. So this thing sliced through it with the right amount of effort. It did good on that part of the evening. We went for our first hour, and we stopped at an hour, and we got 526 on this edge test. It still cut the corners off of copy paper cleanly, but we hit a 526. So we went for another hour, and at the end of the second hour, we had a snag on that paper cut. It snagged a bit. It was noticeable, but it was still cutting. And it was still cutting cardboard pretty well. At the end of that second hour, though, we did start seeing our first signs of trouble. We started seeing those first rolls and tears on the cardboard, like we knew it was about to go. After 25 more minutes, and it pulled a 600. I don't know if I mentioned that, but on that second hour, it pulled a 600 on the tester. That's where that edge roll started showing up, like it started to need maintenance. We went for 25 more minutes, and it just fell off the cliff. It did what 8CR13 does. I believe every single piece of 8CR13 we've done has lasted 2.5 hours like clockwork. Doesn't matter what the grind was, full, flat, hollow, Scandi. It went out at 2.5 hours. And that's just what 8CR13 does. We pulled a 645 off the electronic edge tester and just complete edge devastation. This right here is what the cardboard started looking like on the last cuts that we did. And this right here is definitely where you see complete edge devastation. It was gone. So for 8CR13, it performed exactly like every other piece of 8CR13 we've done. And of course, 8CR13, we really need to move over to D2 and just bump this off for the realm of gas station knives and flea market knives. It's time. However, 8CR13 is made in such gigantic batches and it's so cheap and easily available that it's not going away. It's not. It's unfortunate, but it's true. You know, I feel like 8CR13 is a bit underrated. It does keep the cost of a knife down in most cases. Not this one. You know, and it works. It'll get the average user where they want to go with, you know, an acceptable range of needing maintenance. So it is a bit underrated, but it's time for us to move on. And, you know, I will say one thing that came up, the ergonomics on this, they were great. Like, this was one, there was no discomfort whatsoever. Like, none of this was even beginning to hotspot at the end of 2.5 hours. Most knives at the 2-hour mark, I start feeling the hotspot and the pressure on the bony bone right here. You know, it starts showing up at around the 2-hour mark. But this, no discomfort. My hand was as good to go as it was when I first started. I can't say anything bad about that. Like, I was so happy with those ergonomics. I mean, oh God. I love the ergos on this thing. You know, it might be a bit ugly as a knife. I'm not bothered by the appearance now. When I saw my first Spydercos, I was like, that is hideous. But, you know, the look has grown on me a bit. And, you know, I would love to get a nicer Spyderco, something in better steel. You know, I think I may have mentioned it a minute ago, but, you know, something that really grabs me by the short and curlies. But that is up over the $100 mark, so that's going to be saving up for it. And, you know, channel donations, you guys have bought me a knife off of that. You guys have set me up for the Devo Fireball, so y'all aren't buying me any more knives anytime soon. I know you guys want me to get the Work Sharp Precision Adjust Professional, and we're going to take a look at that, but it's time for me to start buying stuff to give to you guys. So keep an eye on that. But, you know, it's just, like I said, the only complaints I could possibly find out of this are the price and the action. So, I mean, really, if it wasn't for the price, this thing would be phenomenal. Like, mind-blowingly good. So I am really happy with the way the stuff did. If I would have paid out of my own pocket, I would have been mad as hell at the 8CR13. But we did pull out the electronic sharpness tester, and we went ahead and, you know, we sharpened it. We pulled out the tester. And we got a pretty low number on that. I wish I would have written that down, but I figured we'd catch it now. One thing that we did work on is getting practice with this thing right here. So this is a manually fed string for the tester. It's a manually fed test clip. And like, I am broke right now, and I don't have the money to buy a new bag of test clips. So we've been working with this, and I've gotten it down to where the numbers match the calibrated test clips. So let's see where we're at on this edge. I've been trying to do my own sharpening and get them down below 100. 203 on that one. And this is where, like, the last take I did on this, and at the end of the night last night, it was significantly lower than 243. So, like, I'm getting there. I'm not fully there yet. So let's try this one more time. And this thing is not fun to deal with when trying to get this thing restrung. It is not. But the tension on that's pretty low. Yeah, these things, they are incredibly helpful to have for a knife channel and for a professional sharpener. But man, they have a learning curve. They have got a learning curve. Let's tear this out. So 178. So we got a pretty good number on that. I think the last take we got like a 140 something. We are going to get a test clip out. I am running so low on these that it's starting to scare me a little bit. I'd love to buy like 300 or 400 at a time, but a bag of 100 is like 22 bucks. So it's not terrible, but we burn through them fast around here. 120. That is what I was looking for. So, like, I don't quite have the hang of using this. The last take I did, I had it really consistent with the calibrated test clips, but we got a 120. That was the number I was looking for, so, you know, not too shabby at all. We were back down well below, like almost 100 points below what we started at on the factory edge. And, of course, let's do the end-all be-all of sharpness test. We got the corners to cut. And this is not indicative of the knife's factory edge. This is indicative of the Work Sharp Precision Adjust Elite. So, You guys know I love sharing with you what happened over the course of Cardboard Slayer, and overall, really good knife. The ergonomics were fantastic. It's overpriced and the action's a bit too tight, but outside of those two gripes, fantastic. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate it so much. You guys are doing so much for me right now. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We do have giveaways coming up in the future, so get in here and try to win yourself a knife. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing. And, of course, complain about the tic tacs on it in the comments like we do. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.